everyone, I'm Alicia Esposito, content strategist for Retail TouchPoints, and I have joining me right now Jeff Griffin with Stratacache. Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time.
Our pleasure.
So over the past year, Stratacache has had quite a number of new developments and elements of growth, especially most recently including the acquisition of the Lyft retail network.
Right.
So to start off our conversation, I mean, what kind of brought about the acquisition, and more importantly, how do you think this will help Stratacache kind of go to the next level?
Got it, good questions. So the first thing, just in terms of how, why we were interested in Lyft and what it means to Stratacache, we're building a portfolio of capabilities. It's already very big, but that extends way beyond digital signage. And what's interesting to us about Lyft is that it integrates both elements of digital signage, advertising on behalf of brands, with an on-demand upsell merchandising platform. And that sounds like a mouthful, but at the end of the day, it does something really simple that retailers need, and that is to add one more sale to this trip. And trips are flat for all retailers. So anything that we can do to help them sell more to shoppers on this trip is really interesting to us, it's interesting to our advertisers, and that's why we acquired the company.
That's great. So from the customer's perspective, because as you noted, store traffic is an ongoing struggle for retailers. They're trying to find new and exciting ways to liven up the in-store experience. So what would that experience look like for the customer in a typical scenario?
Sure, glad to. And project yourself into a small store, right? That's where most of the Lyft platforms are today, and it's really where we think it's the most useful for the shopper. If you're going into that store, and by the way, that's me, I'm the target of that, right? A guy going into a small format store for a really quick fill-up trip, whether it's for a soda, for a meal, or something. It's time-starved by its nature, right? So if I go into that store, serving me in that need is beyond just that actual product itself, and that's really difficult to do. In a lot of these small format stores, you'll have one, maybe two full-time people in there if you're lucky, and as a retailer. You need something that helps both improve the experience, and we know that's a pretty sort of gossamer thing, but something that will make that shopper feel like they got more out of this trip. Lyft, we really believe, does that because it actively engages both the shopper and the associate behind the cash register. And when you do that, it's doing more than just upselling, like, hey Jeff, buy one more thing. The platform itself actually, as you scan the product that you're buying, can alert you to a soda value that you might have missed out on a bonus meal that they have. Or if there's a buy one, get one free. That's obviously going to be a good thing for me, and I may have just missed it when I came in because I was in such a rush. That's really, we think, motivational for both the retailer and the brand and for the shopper.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a consumer, being in that type of experience, there are times when I'll see, a last minute deal or something on display, I'm like, why not?
Right,
and I just kind of throw it in. So I guess when it's something more compelling and engaging, it really captures that attention, and ultimately that's good for the associate too, because people are selling more when they're
Exactly. In fact, flip that on its head. Think of yourself as a retailer for a second, right? Okay. And it's difficult enough. I mean, it's tough working at retail. It is. We know that. You're asking a lot of a full-time associate just to be there, to help people in the checking out experience and just try to make a positive impression that frankly will drive the next trip. This actually helps that associate a lot. It obviously alerts them to messages that, yes, we'd love for them to remember on a day-to-day basis, but that's a really big thing to ask of someone. We really help that associate with that way. So from a retailer's perspective, I really love that this platform helps me, and oh yeah, it happens to sell more stuff. That's good too.
Right. It kind of leads me to something that I've been hearing a lot more about, in-store technology.
Sure.
So we've been hearing a lot about, all these cool tools and gadgets, but then you're also asking the associates to use the tools and get the most value out of it. But we're kind of reaching a tipping point where the associate's like, I have enough to do. I already have so much. But with something like this, a lot of the work's being done for them.
It really is, yeah. I mean, if you were standing behind a cash register, right, and there is the act of running that cash register, which if you've worked retail at all, that's pretty challenging. I mean, because you have to plus out your numbers at the end of the day, you have to zero out your receipts. You're right. Adding one more thing to those guys is pretty challenging. The screen that's facing the associate actually is prompting them through the interaction, so that they literally don't have to pay attention to it. If something it deserves their attention, ask the shopper if they want to buy one, get one free, or if they'd like to add a sandwich to their soda order. That will appear right in front of them based on the scan that goes through.
No, that's great. So we talked about the benefits for the retailer, the benefits for the customer, but what about for the brands that are within the retail environment?
Gotcha.
So, I mean, is there, a marketing angle to this, and is it just, beneficial for the brand being promoted in that moment? How does that all work?
Glad to, and you didn't ask me, but I come from a brand background, right?
Okay.
So I spent a lot of years and a lot of money trying to get somebody to buy one more thing when they went on a trip.
Right.
I love it for that reason. I really do. I mean, yes, our platforms, all of Stratacache's platforms, or a lot of them, allow me as a brand person to actually take my brand and put it right down to the aisle where the shopper is, and that's great. But it still requires that shopper, usually unassisted, especially in a small format store, to do that act of picking up that product and then making that decision on their own. What I love about Lyft as a brand person is, A, I can help program that. I can literally almost personalize it. That when someone buys, and let's say I'm on the Coke brand, we'll use them as everybody does. You know, Coke, they're all about with food. Well, there are many, many ways you can do that. There's the merchandising plan itself that they're going to have with that particular retailer. We absolutely can customize the Lyft experience to that. There are, more generic. If they have a larger brand campaign where they're just simply promoting Coke with food, we can do that as well. It can be a message campaign tied to the scan. So as a brand guy, I love that. That really does fulfill that promise of putting my brand actually in the shopper's hands, let alone in the store where they're at.
Oh, that's great. Well, it seems like digital signage in and of itself is kind of reaching this new era, because when I think of digital signage traditionally, it's just, a TV display, it's just splashing some cool images, maybe a video, great. But this is intuitive, it's intelligent, and it is actionable for both the shopper and the consumer.
Exactly.
So I guess, in your opinion, what do you think the future will hold for digital signage in retail, especially with all these other technologies and touch points emerging?
Right. Well, at the end of the day, we are led by the shopper. I mean, that really is our true north. So yes, there are 1,000 things that you can do in a store. Our question is, what must we do? And we really, our tag phrase is store of the now. Right. What do we need to do to serve that shopper, that retailer, and that brand right now? So yes, Lyft is pretty out on the edge of that. It does allow for an experience that is somewhat tailored. I bought this, and therefore I was recommended that. But we have the ability to both personalize that down to the store level, down to almost the SKU level, and then to your point, we can integrate with mobile. I mean, if that is something that retailer is interested to do, believe me when I say it, a good store experience gets you one more visit from a shopper. We want that to happen over and over again. And everyone today, you and I both, as we shop online, we are becoming very, very accustomed to a personalized experience. We want to start using digital signage, the Lyft platform, and the other elements of the Stratacache portfolio to do exactly that, to make you feel like you're being personalized in your in-store shopping experience.
So you're literally being guided from the entry point all the way to the point of sale, no matter how small the purchase is.
But without being creepy. We're here to help.
That's always important.
That's important, yep.
Well, Jeff, thank you so much for taking the time out to chat with me. It was really exciting getting to see everything that Stratacache has going on, but of course tying it to the broader retail trends that we're seeing, which is of course getting that foot traffic up, but also keeping customers engaged and ultimately driving those sales.
No, that's it. At the end of the day, retailers, and I've been working with them for 25 years now, retailers want only two things. Jeff, can you bring me more trips, or can you bring me more sales from the trips I get? And with Lyft, I think we can do both. So that's what we're trying to do.
Absolutely. Very, very exciting stuff, Jeff.
Thank you so much
for taking the time out to chat with me.
Thanks.
And thanks everyone out there for watching.